Welcome to another episode of the Jeep and Bubba YouTube channel. Today we're installing a Warn EVO 10S winch. It is a part of the VR series, and as always I let you guys know if something is sponsored on the channel or something I've bought. This is actually a sponsored product. I've actually been working with Warn since 2015, so a little over 5 years now. Well, about 5 years now. And I've worked with them in the past on some other Jeeps. And specifically, my Jeep JK had a Xeon 8S. It was a fantastic winch. It was such a good winch that I used it on my JK, my Cherokee, the Green XJ. It was on this LJ, and it is now on my buddy's TJ, and it's still working and doing fantastic on the original rope. And it's working absolutely fantastic. Sorry for the noise. I'm getting a couple text messages today while I'm filming this. I apologize. Anyways, so I reached out to Warn. I wanted to do something new. My concern about the Xeon is how tall it is. Okay, so on the Xeon, on this grill, it's stuck about this high, and it actually pretty high, and that was with a half sunk bumper. So the old JCR bumper was half sunk, and I knew going to this stubby bumper that doesn't allow it to sink down, it's gonna sit on top. It's gonna be pretty high in the grill. So the VR is a lot smaller package, but I actually moved up to a 10S, so stronger than the winch I had before, but it's actually a smaller, nice new symmetrical design they just came out with for the VR EVOs. And it has the option, which is different than the Xeon, to remove this control box if I so wish, and I can relocate it somewhere. So I'm going to go ahead and mount it, and then I'm going to decide if I want to relocate it based on if I have any overheating in the summer. With it being as cool as it is right now, I'm actually running my grill inserts that I don't run in the summer because I like the look of them, but I don't want to restrict any kind of flow at all. And they actually do have a tiny bit of restriction, so I take those out in the summer. If I see any overheating this summer, what I'm going to do, and I'll make a video on it, is take this box and mount it near the battery. I may have to extend some of the wires, which I don't want to do. I could also mount it somewhere in the bumper. But the nice thing about this EVO is it has a plug-in for a wire controller, but the controller is actually a wireless and wired controller. So I don't have to wire it in. So I could mount it somewhere that may be hard to reach and a pain to get to off-roading, but as long as I have the wireless remote with me, then and it's working properly, then we won't have any problems. We won't have to worry about accessing it. If I do happen to access it, I should make it somewhere where it's easily accessible. So this is the winch I requested from them. Again, I may move this control box for added airflow through here. I am running a larger upgraded radiator. There is no actual cooling issue with the Jeep. I do run a lower thermostat, and I do run hood louvers, but just off-roading in an older Jeep with this inline six is in a small space. Things happen where they do get warm, where you've driven 2 hours to a trailhead, you off-road for an hour, maybe at elevation, maybe at an incline. So we like to get all the cold air through that we can, and so this Warn EVO is my solution for that. Not to mention, I wanted to refresh the rope as well as the winch itself. Now, I want to touch on a few things real quick, and then we'll get into the install. The install is super easy when you're dealing with a Warn. So, did go with the synthetic rope, and I have been going synthetic on my last 3 winches. I did have a couple steel winches back in the day, and they're heavy. One, they're dangerous. They're dangerous because the steel lines can break. These lines can break as well, but they just don't hold that kinetic energy. So they'll usually typically drop to the ground unless they have some kind of weight attached to them. That's where the motion's going to go, or it's just going to drop to the ground. It's a whole lot safer. There's a whole lot less risk involved in running a synthetic line. Not to mention, you're not going to cut your hands on this line like you could with having abrasions on the steel line. It's just a lot lighter, and it's just as strong. So there's no reason not to run it and add that extra weight, worry about rusting things. The only thing that you got to keep in mind is that you're going to want to run a Haas fairlead that's made of aluminum, so it's soft, not a roller fairlead. They do include that with this. And if you're going to run a bumper like this, it's flat on the top, you'll need something to hold that Haas fairlead. So I do have a JCR part that bolts to this. in my garage. So I did this in my driveway today just to show that anybody can do this in the driveway. It's very simple. A lot of winch manufacturers have you install the line. Warn has already installed the line on this one. That's not the case with all their winch products, but that is what they do on the VR EVO. They have a power line already attached, and there is a negative line that I will have to attach to the back of this and run to my negative battery terminal. Besides that, all the other wires are attached. This is waterproof and submersible, and again, rated for 10,000 pounds, 3/8 inch line. But anyways, your control box you have right here if you want to put it in the wired. Your controller itself for free spool or engaged right here is very smooth, and I think it's just the best looking winch out there that money can buy. A lot of manufacturers have you bolt this box on and have you do this wiring. It's an additional 15-20 minutes. It can be a pain in the butt. I'm glad that Warn goes ahead and does that for you. The only thing you have to really do is add the negative wire, run those two to your battery or wherever you're going to run them, and then bolt it to your bumper itself. Warn includes with this a hook as well as a Haas fairlead. If you get steel line, they'll include a roller fairlead. Now, something I requested from Warn that they were obliged to send me is their Epic Sidewinder. This is, if you're familiar with a Factor 55, this is a similar product, but not quite the same, and I do like the design of this. I'm not saying that one is better than the other. I've had a Factor 55. It's a fantastic product. It's really well built. But this is their new Epic Sidewinder, which I have already had out of the box. Okay, so the idea of this, instead of running the supplied hook, what we can do is take some ring pliers, snap ring pliers, pull this pin out, and then attach this to the front of the line here to this shackle. That's the eyelet right here. And this is rated for 18,000 pounds. And what this does is has a nice rubber piece that's going to fit up against the Haas fairlead. It's going to be smooth. It's not going to be a dangling hook that's in the way. And it's a lot safer than a hook. Hooks are prone to failure after being used repetitively. It'll kind of start to bend open, and it leaves an open section. The little thimble, it does not have any strength to it if the rope or whatever, or D-ring, whatever you're attached to, happens to slip. What's nice, this has similar to old school D-ring or bow shackle. It has a pin that runs through it right here, so you can run that right into your recovery rope, right into your whatever you're going to be attaching to, and maybe it's another vehicle, and they have a location just like this. You can just run that line right through there, and now you have a closed system that's not a hook. Very safe, very sleek. It says this is their gunmetal edition. They have a polished chrome one. They have a black one as well, but this is their gunmetal. I think it's going to look great with the paint I've done on the Jeep. Really excited about that. Now, something they surprised me with was they sent me some of their hyperlinks. Now, this is a new product for them this year. They're rated for 36,000 pounds, and I'll be testing those out. Everything I'm showing you on the video today, I'll be doing a later review to tell you how I like them. I'm an honest person. I don't care if Warren ever sends me anything ever again in my life. I will tell you the truth and how I like things. So if I hate it, I will tell you. But I've never been let down by a Warren product to this point. I have run one of their Epic hooks in the past, and it was a great product and did not fail. But this is their new Hyperlink. This is something similar to a bow shackle. You could leave it attached. It looks very stylish, just hanging there, though at the price point these sell for, I don't think I'm going to be leaving mine on my Jeep, maybe unless I'm at the show or going to the mall and I want to show out. This would be like some expensive, beautiful looking jewelry to hang on there. But the nice feature of this is if you're spending a day on the trail, you can throw this on the front and the back of the Jeep and just leave it for the day. They do make isolators for this, so they're not banging up against your metal or making a lot of noise. But the nice thing is it has two pins. So what you're able to do is go ahead and connect it to the Jeep and then connect it to your line. So you're not using one bow shackle through here and then trying to fit the line through it, which is kind of a pain. And this is a whole lot stronger than most bow shackles at a 36,000 pound rating. You could also connect two snatch straps between each other by putting one in here and one in there. You could connect this to snatch block. But it's just something nice. to go ahead and leave on the Jeep, especially like when you're done with your strap, you're not dropping your D-ring shackle in the mud or something like that, or losing it. It's going to be attached to your Jeep till you're done with it. I really like this design. It looks really strong. I am a guy that kind of likes a soft shackle for attaching two snatch straps, but the strength this thing says it has, 36,000 pounds, your strap's going to break a whole lot faster than this thing's going to break, although you could argue there'll be a weight attached to your strap, and I don't blame you on that. That might be where a soft shackle is better, but I'm going to review these and I'm going to let you know how I like them. I think they're beautiful and I can't wait to try them out. So anyways, I'm going to go ahead and get started on this installation. It's very simple, and we'll get going on that. Alright guys, so I went ahead and attached the negative cable that they supply, and what you have to do is take some of these square bolts, these square nuts, and there are slots right down here, and you'll just slide those in. There's 4 of them, and when you go to put the winch up on the bumper, just make sure they don't fall out. Little trick to do, because I've got to go through the bumper and also through this Haas fairlead holder, I have to use a screwdriver, or you can use a screwdriver. It's real helpful. I've used one that's kind of chipped up and old and broken, and it just helps me align everything. So I'll go ahead and set the winch up there, as well as the fairlead holder, and then I just use a screwdriver from the bottom, line up all the holes, get them in the right place, and then you put the bolts in from the bottom, tighten those up, and then you basically have your winch installed. The only thing else you have to do after that point is go ahead and wire it. So I'm going to go ahead and do that real quick. One other thing you want to do is go ahead and install your Haas fairlead if it's capable, because it does make it easier. You're going to put the bolt through and then a nut. You have 2 lock washers, but it does make it a little bit easier to go ahead and get that on. Make sure you don't put anything on the actual eyelet until you get the eyelet through that piece right there, and because a hook or something's not going to fit back through there. So anyways, that's pretty simple. I'm just going to leave mine loose until I get the winch on there, and then I'll tighten it down. Alright guys, I got the winch on. A couple things. Right here, I had to trim up. So we have a JCR dagger bumper on a TJ or like a YJ. Had to trim those to make the winch fit. Like I said, you had to use this fairlead mount to work with this Haas fairlead, and that was about it. Everything else worked really well. And then if we're gonna go underneath here, I ran my wires up. You can see in the back, one thing I did was I loosened all these wires and I kind of laid them behind the winch so they weren't sticking up so high, and then just ran them through, zip tied them in, made sure they weren't somewhere they were hot, went underneath the electrical box right here and go straight to the battery. I used these Kicker battery terminals that they use Allen heads, and then they have this nice plastic cover. So those are nice and made of a good product. So that is everything wired up. Now I'm going to throw the sidewinder up. I just had that zip tied to the bumper for the moment, so I'll throw that sidewinder on real quick. Alright guys, so you have a snap ring right here. When you pull that snap ring out, you can use a pair of snap ring pliers. I have a cheap set from like Harbor Freight. They work great, and not really, but they work for this. You just let that pin slide out. You put your eyelet in right here, if you so choose to run something like this. And then you see they have this nice rubber pad right here. Then you can go ahead and suck the winch in and tighten it up. I'll show you what it looks like. Alright guys, that's kind of what it looks like once you tighten it up. It has a nice piece of rubber that snugs up against there. They do make an isolator, like I said, that goes right here. That's rubber, keeps the motion down, but it doesn't move much. I did scratch it up on the asphalt. It's brand new gunmetal. Sorry, Warn, but I already dropped it. But that's kind of like what you used to do with skateboards. You get a new skateboard, you have to go and go ahead and do some grinds on it and tear the board up so everyone knows you're not a poser. All right, so this is the remote, and it's wireless, like I said. This feature goes in, that goes out, and that just says that we're wireless. If you click right here, then you can go to wired, which again plugs in here. You have to be engaged, not married, but engaged. You can just be in engaged mode. If you want to let out, just go to free spool. The other thing you're going to want to do with this winch before you go off-roading is to stretch your line out. And there's tons of videos of that on YouTube. But basically, you just want to attach to a tree or another car. You can do it on flat ground. Just get it all the way out. I mean, just almost all the way out. And let one person guide the line back in so it's nice and straight like it is there. But just let that line get stretched, and it will be, everything will work perfect for you. So that's it. That's the Warn VR EVO 10S. This is just the unboxing and installation. Installation with wiring took about an hour. That included grinding down the studs right there. It could be even faster if I didn't have a big sway bar in the way like I do on this bumper. But yeah, to me it's a good looking winch. You see how low it is on the grill. Really like that about it. So I'll do a review in about a year from now, let you know how we've enjoyed it off-road, and if we have any issues over the summer with overheating, for sure I'll be pulling these out. But I'll go ahead and take this box off. Basically, you pull these Allens out here and you can pull this box off, and then we'd have to run all that wiring through here and then maybe put it somewhere near the air box over here. So I believe the wireless will still reach it there. We might even be able to move this into the bumper, which would be kind of cool, and then maybe do a way to run the line into it or something. But something like that. But we could put it, if I wanted to extend the wiring, even move it up here somewhere, and be able to open the hood and then work it from the cab. But the nice thing is this wireless. If we don't have any overheating issue, then I'm just gonna leave the box on there because it's just convenient for me right now. But hope you guys enjoyed the video. Next video coming up will be the campsite cocktail video. I'll let you know it's called Donkey on a Rope. That's the new cocktail coming out. Check that out, and I appreciate you guys liking and subscribing. Hope you guys have an adventure planned for your future, and I'd like to thank Warn for sponsoring us on this particular product right here by giving us the Sidewinders, Hyperlink, and that Warn Winch. You can check them out at warnindustries.com. We sell their products at blackbearoffroad.com as well. I'll let you guys know how the Sidewinder as well as the Hyperlinks work for me, but I'm sure it'll be great, and go prepared with Warn. Thanks, guys. We'll be seeing you.